Hey friends, it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to bring you another Copic coloring video. We're going to be coloring one critter in multiple different ways. I've done a few of these videos in the past and you guys seem to really enjoy them. We've got gorillas, elephants, red foxes so far. We did 12 different ways to color cats just because there were so many options. The same with the dogs. And my most recent one was 8 different ways to color mice. And so far I have just been keeping these in my little page protector in the back of my Copic coloring chart and hex charts. But it's getting pretty heavy, so I think I'm going to have to move to a different solution soon. So I will update you on that when I have it. But today we are going to be doing hedgehogs using the Lawn Fawn Hedgehogs mini set. It's such a cute one. It's an older stamp set for sure, but I just love this little hedgehog. I think he's so cute. All of the images were stamped in Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink on Spectrum Noir Ultra Smooth Premium White cardstock. And for this first little hedgehog, I'm going to go with some E40 shades. I'm starting with E40, E41, and E42 for the lower part of the body. I'm placing this shadow up at the top under the spikes because they are sticking out a little bit further than the rest of the body, so they would be casting a shadow. I'll be doing my shadows the same on all of them because that's just what makes the most sense to me. And then I'm going to move on to some darker colors for the rest of him. So I brought in E43, E44, and E47. So I'm starting with that E47, and there are some little black lines drawn in there, little dash lines, and I am just mimicking that shape as I add in the rest of the shades. I'm coloring darkest to lightest right now. So I moved on to the E44 and now the E43 until he is pretty much filled in. And he's looking pretty good right there. So if you wanted to get away with only 3 shades on the spikes, you could. But I like to take it one step further and darken it a bit more. So I brought in E49 and I'm just adding a few of the little dash lines with that. And I really love how that just pulls it all together. So I'm going to go ahead and jot down the marker shades that I used for this first little hedgehog right underneath using a black pen that does not smear. And then I will move on to our second hedgehog. And for him, I decided to go with the E50s. So for the lower part of the body, I'm going to use E50, E51, and E53. With that E53 up at the top and on the backs of the legs. Then I'll blend that out with the E51 and fill in with the E50. And then for the spikes on the back, I will move to E55, E57, and E59. So I'm starting with the E59 and then I'm going to blend that out with the E57. I'm not really blending exactly though. I'm basically just doing the dash lines and making sure that it overlaps some of the darker colors. So it kind of just mixes and melds together, but some of the lines are still distinct. And I even added in a little bit of the E53 in there rather than leaving some white space. And then because I like that extra bit of dark in there, I'm going to go back to my darkest shade for this one and add a bit more of that E59. And then I can write down the numbers that I used before I put those marker caps away. I'm trying to write them as neatly as possible. Being left-handed, I normally need to turn the page a little bit, but I'm trying to keep it straight for you guys. I'm moving on to our third hedgehog, and for him I'm going to use the E20s, but the E21 is the lightest shade that I have, so I'm actually going to combine that with some lighter E's using E000 and E00 for the lower part of the body. And I really, really love that combo for the lower part. I think it's just really warm and cozy. I don't know how to describe it, but I just really love that combo on the hedgehogs. And then I'm going to move up to the spikes and I'll bring in E23, E25, E27, and E29. For this one, I started with the E27, and then I'm going over that with the E25, making sure to keep my line work about the same, so each of the little lines are about the same length, but I'm just filling in more and more of that white space, but leaving a tiny bit of it showing. And then I'll go back in with my darkest shade, that E29, and add that to give it some real depth. And I wanted to mention that any of the lower parts of the hedgehogs could be mixed with any of the top colors. So there are really tons and tons of possibilities that you could do for these guys. Moving on to the E30s, I'm going to keep that E000 in there though, because the E30 isn't quite light enough for the highlight for me. So I'm using E000, E30, and E31. And by the way, when I do the feet that are on the opposite side of the body, I only use the darkest two shades so that they are cast in more shadow. And then for the spikes, I'll bring in E33, E35, E37, and E39. So starting with the E37 and doing my little spikes, and then I'll come in with the E35, just start to fill in more and more of that white space. Moving on to the E33, we're going to fill in even more. And I could already tell that even bringing in the E39 on this one, it wasn't going to be quite dark enough for me to have the amount of contrast that I like. You certainly could leave it like this if you wanted to, but I just wanted a bit more depth. So I'm going to go back to that E29. It has kind of like a warm, little bit of a reddish tone to it, so it works really well with the E30s. So I added that to the mix as well. So I ended up using quite a few shades for his little spikes, but I think it really brought him more to life. So I like the way that he looks better now than if I hadn't done that. And I accidentally wrote down one of the 3s instead of the E's first. So I just used a bit of whiteout tape to remove that so I could write down the correct numbers for you guys in case you're keeping track or making a little coloring chart for yourself. Hedgehog number 5 is going to be in some grayish tones. I'm going to use W00, W1, and E70 for the lower part of the body. You guys might recognize this as my favorite combo to color in mice, so I thought I'd give it a try on the hedgehogs and just see how I like it. For his spikes, I'm going to bring in some darker E70s. I'll use E71, E74, E77, and E79, but I'm starting with the E77. And the reason I'm starting with the second to darkest shade now is because if you start with the darkest shade, as I noticed up above, it just gets a bit too muted, and then I had to go back and add it in again. So rather than having to do that twice, I'm just skipping it and saving that darkest shade for the end. And that way it doesn't get too lost in all the other colors that are layered over top of it. It just stands out a bit more, which is more of the look that I'm going for. So once I have him finished, I will go ahead and write down the shades that I used. And I think he does look really cute. I would have never thought to color a hedgehog like this if I hadn't just recently done the mice video, but it was something different to try. I love trying out new combos. And the last combo that I'm going to do is some warmer tones on the bottom using the E's, but then we're going to switch to some grays for the top. So I went back to my favorite combo, the E000, the E00, and the E20 for the lower part. It's the same as I did on the one above. But for his spikes, I'm going to switch to some toner grays. You could use any of the gray families. This is just the ones that I decided to go with. So I brought in T1, T3, T5, and T7. And I'm going to start with the T5 and layer that in. And I have to say, I don't think I've ever done a hedgehog with gray spikes before, but I ended up really liking it. I have seen other people do gray spikes on a hedgehog before, and if you look at them in real life, they do look more gray, although I think there might be multiple different kinds of hedgehogs. Because we have them in Europe as well. I've seen them in my husband's family's barn and on their property back in Germany. But anyway, I really like how he turned out. I think he's really, really cute. So I'm going to write down the colors that I used for him. And then I am going to go in and add some rosy cheeks to all of these critters because it's just a step that I feel like these critters need. It just brings them to life. It warms them up. It makes them look more cheerful and happy. And it's just a step that I always do. So I'm using R11 and R20. That's my go-to for the rosy cheeks. And then there is one extra step that I will often do for hedgehogs, and that is to take a white gel pen and add a few extra spikes over top with that. And what that does is it almost makes the spikes look a little bit shiny. It gives them like a little bit of a glossy look. So it's something fun. I'm going to do it on all of them just so you can compare evenly between the different shades. But yeah, this is a step that you don't have to do, but it can be a fun little extra detail to add if you'd like to. So there you have it. There is 6 different ways to color hedgehogs. And as I mentioned, you could swap any of the bottoms with any of the tops and use other gray tones, other brown tones. There are really lots and lots of possibilities here. But I hope this gave you some ideas of new combos that you might try on your own cards, and you can also go back and watch any of the other critter coloring videos that I've done. I have those on my Copic favorites playlist if you're looking for all of them in one place. Let me know down in the comments which of these combos was your most favorite. I think I would go with number 3 and number 6. I also really like number 2. I don't know. I like them all. I think it's fun to try different ones for different kind of color palettes for your cards. So let me know down in the comments what you think, though. I would love to hear it. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that like button. You can also leave me a comment down below. I love to hear from you. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell if you'd like to be alerted when I post new videos. I'll have this stamp set that I use listed and linked in the description bar below. And if you'd like to keep watching, here are 2 extra videos I thought you might also enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye-bye.